The end of my garden is one of my favourite places on earth. And that's partly because it's not just mine. I share the space with so many different species that come and go throughout the year. You get used to knowing what you're going to see and when, but nature always has surprises. And last week, I had an amazing surprise, right here. When I say wildlife corridors, what do you think of?
Wildlife corridors. These pathways connect fragmented habitats, allowing animals to move safely and freely across landscapes. From busy urban areas to fields and countryside, these corridors provide vital connections for wildlife populations. They enable animals to access food, mates, and suitable habitats, mitigating the negative impacts of habitat loss and fragmentation. Wildlife corridors not only benefit animals directly, but enhance ecosystem resilience and promote biodiversity.
For a long time, I thought about vast landscapes like the Amazon rainforest and fragmented pieces of land joined by pathways that allow animal movement. Until this week, when something pretty cool happened in my own back garden. So I keep 2 trail cameras in my garden, mostly for fun, just because I'm a bit of a bird freak and I love seeing which species of birds I get in the garden. Just then that was a crow, so that was a carrion crow. So yes, I keep 2 trail cameras in my garden. In different locations, I'll move them around, and there's noticeable ecosystems and pockets of life. One example being all the small garden birds will hang around by the feeder at the front of the garden. So that's your robins, your blue tits, your coal tits, the occasional blackbird, a couple of magpies. We get lots of dunnock, and all of those sorts of birds will hang out at the front of the garden. And what I've noticed at the back of the garden, in these hedges, and there's some more hedges that way, that's where all the house sparrows live. But after keeping one of my trail cameras on the floor, I've noticed a very distinctive pattern. The second the sun comes up, the very first species that appears will always be the robin. After I get the robin video, I'll then have either a couple of dunnock, or that's when all the sparrows will come. And then the second it gets dark, the mice come out. As the night goes on, there's more and more mice that appear, but later in the night is when the fox comes out. So I'll get a couple of sightings of the foxtail, and then the whole cycle repeats again as soon as the light comes up and the robin appears. And I left the trail camera there for about a week, and when I offloaded the photos onto my computer, I spent a while going through, and it was all the usual suspects. So we had sparrows, we had robins. There was another really sweet clip of a blackbird gathering nesting material. And then there were a couple of fox sightings, which I always get excited about because I live on the outskirts of London. So although there are lots of foxes around here, there are not as many as there probably should be. So I still get excited when I see one. And then I noticed something completely different that I haven't seen on any of my trail cam footage. And it was this guy. A badger, an actual badger, in my garden. It's just mind-blowing to me.
Badgers are ecosystem engineers. They are excellent diggers, rejuvenating the soil in the process, whilst also providing habitats for other wildlife species. But sadly, many of their sets across the UK are now empty. Badgers have an excellent sense of smell, which is vital for communication. They have a combination of different scent glands, which produce different signals to other badgers. They are also used to tighten bonds, with some suggesting that clan members share the same scent. Badgers leave their scent in a variety of ways, but the badger in this video is squat marking. This is where they lift their tail and dip their bum to mark the area.
I'm really sad and quite ashamed to say that I've never seen a badger in real life that was alive. So sadly, there is just lots of reasons why we have less and less badgers around here. At my 30 years of age, it's kind of mind-blowing that I have never seen one in real life that wasn't on the side of the road.
We've lost over 210,000 badgers in the UK to the highly controversial badger cull, which was implemented by the government to try and control the spread of bovine tuberculosis. A review of this badger cull was published in the year 2022, which concluded that badger culling can make no meaningful contribution to the control of bovine tuberculosis in cattle. Instead, what they found was that restricting cattle movements and enhancing biosecurity are effective, neither of which are mandated under current government policy. In other words, it appears thousands and thousands of badgers have been culled for little to no reason.
I just am feeling so lucky and so thrilled that I have a wildlife corridor at the back of my garden. So I'm going to show you where I keep my camera, and then I'm going to talk to you a bit about wildlife corridors. So this area here is where I keep the camera. You can see it just on the floor down here. This is the very end of the garden, and behind that fence is a massive Tesco car park. So just along here is where I spotted the badger. And although you can't really see it, it's almost a perfect path, which I guess has been formed from animal movement such as foxes and now badgers.
Here are 5 examples of wildlife corridors you can put in your garden, or even better if you have land or farmland. Hedgerows. Planting dense native hedges along the edge of your garden creates natural corridors for small mammals, birds, insects, and other animals. As well as being excellent corridors, hedges offer shelter, nesting sites, and food sources. Ponds and water features. Installing a pond or water feature in your garden can attract a wide variety of wildlife, including amphibians, birds, and insects. Surrounding the water with diverse vegetation, such as native aquatic plants, creates a corridor for animals to move between water sources and nearby habitats. Native plant borders. Designating areas of your garden for native planting forms corridors and supports local wildlife. Native plants provide food, shelter, and breeding sites for a wide range of species, encouraging biodiversity and facilitating movement through the landscape. Log piles and rockeries. Creating habitat features like log piles offers refuge for small mammals, reptiles, and invertebrates. These structures provide hiding places and micro-habitats in your garden, enabling wildlife to travel safely between different areas. Green roofs and living walls. Incorporating green roofs on sheds or other structures enhances vertical habitat connectivity. These features provide additional foraging opportunities and nesting sites, extending the wildlife corridor vertically within the garden. Wildlife-friendly fencing. Installing wildlife-friendly fencing with gaps and holes at the bottom allows small mammals, birds, amphibians, and insects to pass through freely. This prevents barriers to movement and ensures animals can still move freely in and out of your garden. By incorporating these elements into your garden design, you can create a network of interconnected habitats that support a diverse range of wildlife and contribute to larger-scale wildlife corridors in your area.
I put this camera back here a couple of days ago after I saw the badger. I'm going to take it inside, upload the footage to my laptop, and fingers crossed we've got another sighting. I saw an especially exciting spicy species.